Adi, Amit, hello.
Hi.
Welcome to my first ever episode in New York. I'm so excited to have you guys here.
I did not know that.
Yeah, first ever.
Wow. Okay.
We're the first.
You are the
we're
first for New York's Millennial Mind.
Of course we are.
I don't know what that means. I don't know. As if he's supposed to be like inaugurate.
I love it. But look, I'm so happy to have you both here. I have watched all of your YouTube videos. I have followed you on Instagram for ages. And then he told me about you. And I was just like, okay, I cannot wait to sit down and kind of get into the nitty gritty of everything today. So for people who don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Well, I am, I feel like I had to talk in the mic.
I know. It's a bit like too far, isn't it? Okay.
Now, I am a makeup influencer now. I used to be a finance guy. I quit my full-time job 3 weeks ago now. And that's what I do. I educate on makeup. I'm married to this beautiful, gorgeous man right here. And we have a daughter and 2 dogs. And life is crazy. Life is scary right now, but I'm really having fun.
I'm so excited to talk about you quitting your job because I remember you telling me that. But let's tell your little story.
It's not little.
I never know what to call myself, but I'm a creative director and entrepreneur. I have a dance company, and I'm in the middle of creating a new musical production that's going to hopefully tour. And that's what I'm currently working on.
Were both of you always on social media? Were you always people that kind of like really enjoyed it? Because I think now everyone is on social media. Like every single person you meet will have an account.
It's a way of life now.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I did enjoy it a lot, but like when we got married in 2019, like the Indian wedding, that's when we actually came to spotlight on social media. It was those Anita Dongre outfits with the mandir background. That kind of was, one of the first weddings which went viral. Like weddings going viral is like bizarre.
Yeah.
But yes, that was our key moment. That was our we have made it moment. But before that, like we had like private Instagram accounts, and he probably had a more public one because of his company and what he does in the entertainment space. But I think I was just so focused on like working and getting to a better position at work. That's pretty much it.
So you were in finance. What were you doing at the time?
I had my dance company. I've never worked a day in my life.
I love it.
For somebody else.
Somebody else.
Work every single day.
I did. Well, technically, that's incorrect. I did work for a couple different, companies, but it was very temporarily.
Yeah.
A few months, and then I would,
So you were kind of used to this kind of world of social media at the time.
Yeah, like him entering this world of, we call this jobless now. We're both jobless.
We're like when
I'm jobless too. I mean, look, I'm here just in a podcast.
Let's rename this jobless podcast.
Yeah. So I'm like, you've now entered the jobless world. It is uncomfortable because and now it's interesting. I find him like, he was so excited to not have to work a full-time job so he can create content. And now that he has time, he's like,
so stressed.
Wait a second.
Like this is...
I'm like, you need to relax.
No. It's not as easy as it seems.
It's not,
honestly. I think that when I quit my job, because I was doing the podcast and my full-time job at the same time, all I kept thinking was, I'm going to have so much more time and therefore I'm going to enjoy it so much more and therefore I'm going to be so much happier. When I quit, I think for the next 8 months, I was so stressed out because when you've quit, you're like, oh shit, I've let go of that money and that safety net. So now I have to work even harder than I was before to kind of prove it to myself and to prove it to everyone else.
Absolutely.
And I think it is a process. It definitely is. Even today, it was so funny. I was like, I've come such a long way from when I did a series in Mumbai.
Right.
In Mumbai, I recorded as many podcasts as I could. And I just remember after each one being like, oh, thank God it's done. Like, oh, okay, thank God. Like, no time to enjoy, just like get on to the next one.
Right.
Yeah.
And today I was like, I'm not going to make that same mistake anymore. I've come here. I'm going to enjoy myself. I've got 2 hours in between each one and I'm going to go get a coffee in between. And that doesn't make me unproductive. Absolutely. That is a good thing. And I think we've become obsessed with this idea of hyperproductivity.
I mean, when the bi-weekly paycheck stops coming and the first one doesn't come in, you are like, oh boy, no, we have to.
I think we're both like really hard workers in just life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like in whatever we do. So I think that in the most uncomfortable moments, we found like a new pattern and a new way of life.
Yeah.
So that I'm not worried about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, there's always something like I can roll up my sleeves and do. Like
Yes.
that's not a problem. It's just that I think I had the maturity of enjoying life because I had a stable income.
Exactly.
And now I have lost that maturity and I need to get that back. I think
Yeah.
it's going to take me 8 months. Like it's been 3 weeks. Like
No, 3 weeks is very, very quick. And also, I actually felt that when I was in my job, I didn't want to enjoy because I wanted to, my podcast was my enjoyment.
Right.
But then when you actually have your work, you feel
Yes.
guilty for enjoying.
It's a little bit of guilt. I think that
is.
kills us all. Like
All
if
the
we have
time.
a free moment in life now, even if it's on a weekend where we technically don't have to work, we like feel guilty that we're not working. He's like, wait, should I go shoot something? Should I go do this? I'm like,
I would just like get
I think
up
we
and
can
just run into a
sit
room and
for a
shoot
second.
something. it's just I think we just have to find our balance at this point.
That is such a good point, because even my fiance, he said, I'm so excited for Monday to get going. And I was like, it is Sunday. We're in New York. Why are we looking forward to tomorrow? Why are we not just being?
Yeah.
And I think so often we can get caught up in the doing,
right,
and we can't just be. And I had that same kind of reflection. But I want to go back to kind of your wedding, because like you said, that was a moment which kind of went viral online. How was that? How did you feel about that?
There wasn't much to feel because we were already married for a year. We did this.
So we went viral after?
No, so it was City Hall wedding in 2018, and then the Indian wedding in 2019.
So basically, like we had a court wedding, and then we had the ceremony. So a year later, and that's like photos that did go viral.
Everyone actually thought, funny thing, some of the publications which asked us if they can publish about that, they just added random event managers to our article.
No.
Yeah, I'm not going to name any publications, but it was a 30 people wedding in our backyard, and then a mandir next door. There was no event manager. We did the makeup for our mothers and our sisters. Yeah. It was a house affair. The food was cooked in the house. It just it was made into this, these two grooms from India, actually not from India, one is from US, had this amazing wedding. I'm like, no, it costed $20,000. That's pretty much it. We wrapped up the whole thing. It was a weekend rager. That's all.
Literally. And we were just talking about weddings, and I mean, I don't think I've ever really cared about a wedding in that capacity. So
I think I think there's so much pressure now and to have a big wedding and what it looks like for other people and how other people feel and what other people want you to do and how other people will react, and it just is when did weddings move away from being about the couple?
IFA show now. Unless every single person dances, it's not a wedding.
Oh my God, it's so true.
I just can't. I'm like, wait, what's going on? And people act surprised. This is one of my things, right? The groom and the bride know exactly where the people are going to enter from, who's going to come after whom, because it has always rehearsed, right? And they will bring out all that emotion. I'm like, you should be on TV. You cannot fake that. We know exactly what is happening every single time. And I think that's not fun anymore. Isn't it supposed to be I
mean, but I think these traditions existed years ago, even in India. Because people used to have weddings to celebrate with their community. Yeah.
Exactly.
So in that sense, I get that part.
Yeah, that part I love.
It's a celebration. You're bringing someone new into the family and into the community or whatever. That's all great. I think now everything's become publicity, PR. People are recording videos, hoping they go viral online.
Yes.
I get it, because it's we're part of that world.
There's
also,
pressure. There's pressure.
And there's pressure to do it.
It's a life event, right? You cannot not have something go crazy.
It's exhausting to try to keep up with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think it's exhausting as well. And from my perspective, I just think we're moving away from, it's not about the couple anymore, it's about the show. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think even with social media and everything that's going on right now, it just seems like we're living a life for online. We're not living a life in real life. But talking about your wedding, you got a lot of press. It was so much. I remember speaking to you about it. It was exhausting. How was that in terms of your relationship? Did people have anything negative to say?
Funny stuff, actually. Some people thought this was all a setup just to gain publicity.
Right.
Yeah, because at that point, there weren't many same-sex couples who got that kind of attention. There were already a lot who got married, but nobody got that kind of attention, right? So some of them thought this was all a fake publicity stunt, and then some claim that we must be in an open relationship for this relationship to work, which is not the case. But that's okay. People can assume, right? And then other claim that within a year we'll get divorced. And then there were some things about our parents, they always bring in the family.
Yeah, of course.
But I think more than all that, there was so much love.
Really? Okay, that's amazing.
It was 10:1. One comment, which will be borderline hate, something like what I just said, to 10 people saying, oh my God, this is amazing. And there was so much love. People told us they came out to their parents because of our wedding.
Oh, that's so nice.
High school bullies reached out and apologized. It was a lot.
It was a lot.
It was
overwhelming. But if you're asking if our relationship was impacted or anything like that, I feel like we were so taken back. We didn't have time for anything to impact our actual life. We were just what is even happening right now? I never understood attention on that level, and digital, getting attention digitally is very different.
Yes.
And I never knew how to, I put on shows for a living. So I see people, I'm in front of audiences. I know what that type of attention is like. But digital attention, it's so weird. It's a weird feeling. It's you don't know who's writing stuff. And I don't know. It's like an intangible.
Now we get it. Obviously, now like after years, now we understand
story,
what the thing is. Like that was great PR moment for us, which I didn't realize.
Yeah, of course.
Didn't do much about it. But I think it was the only thing weird was that everybody expected us to have a point of view, and we were like, we just got married. Like we sat down one day and we were like, oh, we have a press meeting tomorrow, like with a magazine, right?
Right.
They want to write about us. They want to do a radio show. We're like, what are we gonna say? Like we just got married because we love each other. Now we were supposed to have like a whole momentum agenda around it. I'm like, no.
Like, I see. So people were asking you, like, what was your movement behind this thing? And you're like, wait, I don't get it. What's happening?
Yeah, it was like that. Yeah.
It's so interesting to me because, like you said, I know a lot of people who perhaps aren't, big on social media or, necessarily do it for their job. Right. But when they get married, their whole thing is like, I want to go viral.
Yeah.
Now, you two have been viral. So just be really explicit. What happens if you go viral?
Brand deals.
Not immediately.
Not immediately, but yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. You said be truthful.
No, to be truthful, yeah.
That's what everything that goes viral brings you attention. And once you get attention, you just have to divert that attention into the right path to get a brand deal and make money.
But that doesn't happen to everyone.
That doesn't.
Absolutely not.
Right?
That's what I was going to say. It doesn't happen.
I feel like because if you have to have content that's also aligned to that brand as well from before. But I think now everyone just thinks, if I get one viral video, I'm going to be a millionaire from Instagram.
Absolutely not.
Actually, that is also true.
What?
Yes,
okay.
It's
not true in my case.
It's true. On
Look
TikTok,
at us.
Show me the money.
Yeah, on TikTok, you will be.
What?
Yeah. There are. Yeah, no, you will be.
Wait, I have a different. Okay, well.
Yeah.
You tell me first.
I won't take names, but in the makeup community, right?
Yeah.
That's what I do every single day, right? So you need to find one viral moment which could be replicated. And if that process can be replicated, people would keep trying it. Then brands would reach out to you to insert their products in that particular process. And then you will somehow become from an influencer to a public figure status. Once you do that, you get paid even, appearances, talk shows, podcasts, TED Talks, and then you become a brand. So yeah, actually, I know a lot of people who have had one viral video and they have used that formula again and again. And now they are some of the most famous TikTok stars.
Yeah. Sure, I understand, but I don't think it's for everyone. I mean,
it's
think
not
that's
for
a very
everyone,
small percentage of
but
people.
That's what people are aiming for, right?
Yes.
Like,
sure,
what does success mean if somebody's not trying for it, right?
No, of course.
This is what
I think going viral, if you're asking a direct question about like what does that give you, I think it gives you a platform, and now what you do with that platform and how, whether it's monetary, whether it's to do something political, social, whatever cause you have, it definitely does give you that, but it's something you have to keep up with very regularly. Like, and most normal everyday people aren't ready for that. I feel like there's a huge contrast with Adi and I, because I don't think I still have it in me to keep up with that, but he does, and he's always been that person that's had creative ideas and has like a certain perspective about fashion and beauty and things. I necessarily don't have that perspective, and I think his perspectives make sense for social media content today.
But again, the funny part is that I do that because I'm passionate about it.
Sure,
I went viral for being married.
Yeah.
But I didn't do anything in that space. I was very clear that I will not be one of those cheesy couples who post like kissing pictures or life is always roses and sunshine. It's not. And I knew what my skill set was. My skill set is that I learned makeup on my own and I want to teach everyone. So I work hard there. There's nothing about us that we are trying to sell.
And that's to my point is whatever we went viral for initially is not what keeps us relevant today. That's not what's keeping him relevant today in that space.
And I love that because there's personality, there's individuality, there's a path.
In fact, we have to try, I mean, again, I think I'm going to speak more on his behalf because he's more involved in social media on a daily basis. He has to try really hard to like stay away from posting about both of us or about our family because his space is makeup and beauty and that. And so you have to sort of fight the people who are trying to make you viral for that, what you initially,
so
had.
True.
Like with the baby,
So
you had a baby. Are we going to see all baby? No. I'm not going to be a dad influencer.
Correct.
So it's going to be about makeup. So
wow, I love this. So you're like, this is my niche and that's all I'm staying in. Is there a reason for that?
I love it. Like, I think I thrive on makeup. I think it is my first love. I mean, he is, but makeup is really
I wasn't the first either.
No, because, no, well, there was a dog. Yes. We have a dog. Okay. No, but the thing is that I really, really enjoy makeup. I think it just fuels me. It's like people have coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
I have foundation in the morning. No, don't drink or eat makeup, please.
I have my coffee.
I have to have coffee before foundation. Definitely.
I do a get ready with me to wake up. So.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, no, but I really enjoy it. I think it's very thrilling to see what creativity and art and colors can do. And also it's kind of trigger for some people because a man is doing it, and I just love that trigger, that I can trigger people.
Talk to me about that.
No, because people have issues with a guy doing it, especially a South Asian man who is also gay and playing with makeup. They're like, oh, if you wanted to be a girl, you can be. You don't have to do this. I'm like, you're getting confused. I'm a man who likes makeup. There's a distinction. And I really enjoy it because I feel like it really brings out the creative side of me. And I just don't care. I will make makeup if I want to, right? But people have problem, obviously, because they expect me to do the 9 to 5, which I did for a very long time, right? But I think when somebody is confident in what they're doing and they want to really do it and they're like really unapologetic about it and like out there, it triggers people because they have certain boundaries they have set for themselves, which they don't want to push out. And now they start feeling guilty looking at me for their life. They're like, oh shit, I could have done this. Instead of doing it, let me put that person down.
So
it's
true.
always that. It's their incapability to do that, which they project as anger on you.
That is honestly, I was thinking the other day when I was walking, I was thinking about what's the difference between someone who feels jealous or someone who feels inspired by someone? Like, what is the difference?
I think that there's a fine line.
There is such a fine line.
Between and jealousy, I think I'm not a jealous person in my relationship.
Yes.
But I get jealous that, I don't know if it's jealousy or envious that like, oh man, I should have done that. Or why didn't I think of that?
Yes.
That's healthy. That's
good.
And
I'm the same.
But it doesn't bring me down.
Exactly.
I don't let it, at least. Or I have a good support system that doesn't happen to me.
Yeah.
But I'm very much the first one. I'm like, Adi, why didn't I do that? Why didn't I get invited to that? Why didn't I?
Yeah.
Because, I could have done that. Yeah. So I don't know if that's jealousy
No,
or if it's...
No, I think
I don't know what that...
I think it's normal to, first of all, everyone has those feelings, but it's different if you have that feeling and then you think, well, then that person shouldn't have got there because, they're this and they're that. And that's envy.
Yeah.
Envy is looking at, jealousy is like an emotion. Mm-hmm. Being envious is hoping that person doesn't get it.
Yes.
So it's like, if I get invited to a party and you don't, it's just like, well, why does Shivani get there?
Yeah.
I wish she didn't get there. But jealousy would be like, mediocre. I wish if I got there, Yeah. And I think the difference is obviously a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. So if you're someone with a fixed mindset, you're going to be like, well, I'm jealous and there's nothing I can do about that. And you know what? I don't even want to do that because I can't do it. You're going to just be like, I can't do it. Growth mindset is going to be like, yes, you know what? I am a little bit jealous by that, but how can I do that? And what are the steps I can take to kind of turn that into inspiration?
Or what can I do different, which will add the same amount of value?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think the reason why people feel so happy when they feel inspired is because they see themselves in that person that they're inspired from, right? Mm-hmm. So if you look at someone and you think, oh my God, I love the way that they've done that and I feel inspired, it's because you believe you can do it.
Right.
When you're jealous, you do not believe that you can do it.
No.
That's why you're spewing hate online. And it's really interesting because when you both came in, you said, you don't care about what other people think. And you don't really care, but you've become so...
I guess I go completely, I could go both ways, black and white on that. Yeah. And I think he can too, which is so interesting. Because he actually doesn't care what people think because he'll say whatever's on his mind. And I'm a slightly filtered in that capacity. But then in certain situations, we'll completely flip.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's the mood, how we feel on that day.
We're both moody.
If my videos are doing
well... I'm moody too.
But it's literally for me, if my videos are doing well on TikTok, I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm the king of the world. But if they're not doing well, then everything's going to hurt.
He'll come in the room and he'll be like, hey, babe, and I'm like, okay. And then I go check his Instagram. I'm like, okay, numbers are good.
Numbers are low. Something's happening.
On a serious note, how do you cope with that? Because there's a lot of people that are home watching this and perhaps they don't have a social media profile, but they are surrounded by people who are negative, not perhaps in the most direct of ways, but negative in a very passive aggressive way or a very subtle way. And they just know that the person who is perhaps interacting with them hasn't got their best interests at heart.
Can I soft curse?
Tell me.
Can
you curse? Yeah, of course.
Okay. Well, I don't know how you guys do it in London. Cut the shit out, honestly.
I think fuck is universal.
Oh my God. Okay, we're going there. Okay. Yeah, no, but cut the people out. I know it's very hard for people to do that I think I just thrive on it. The number of people I have cut from my life during COVID and after, and the change I have seen in myself, I used to think this is all bullshit. Honestly, genuinely, I was like, oh, people just write in books about this. They just talk about this because this is what people want to hear. It is so good to cut toxic people out.
Okay, but now let me give you an example. Let's say it's a cousin.
So?
Okay, what if it's your parent?
Well, now that's where it gets tricky. That's where the education part
you know,
has to
it's
come
so funny you're mentioning all of this because we're both, I think we've both managed to cut, I hate that word, cut, but to like let people go, I guess, because
let people go. What is this, an office you're firing
create
people?
Space for other people.
Yes.
It's like we're cutting. My parents are like, you have to keep all relationships good. My parents are like that. My parents are like those people.
Mom will be like, it's family, beta. I'm like, Mom, it's toxic family.
It's more like you want to just create more space for people who are going to give you better, more attention, like better
energy.
Yeah, that's what I meant. And I think that's kind of how I look at it. So I agree. Like we're both very like, we don't feel the good energy. It's over.
It won't be like in your face. Oh, I hate you. Get out. It'll be like, I'm going to distance myself, have my boundaries, and slowly it'll frizz out. Like that's what relationships are when you don't keep in touch or make effort, right?
Of course.
So because you have to protect your peace of mind, you cannot be aggressive or you cannot be loud about it because it's going to impact you.
Yes.
Like you cannot come out of a situation and think about it for 10 hours because that's counterproductive.
And we're both pretty selfish and like about our space and our mindset, and we don't want toxicity around us. Like so I selfishly I'm just like, I have work to do and I need to have clarity. So I need to get rid of everything else around me that's not helping the situation. And that's just how I live my life always, in whatever I do.
I think like after having a kid, your perspective on life changes a lot.
But we were like that before too.
Yeah, even now we're even more.
It's like even more.
Even
it's like,
more.
But what do you do if it's a parent or, you know, someone very close to you? Because it's very hard.
You struggle. Yeah, I've struggled. Like my mom and I were like, I was super thick. She passed away, but my dad and I are. Thank you. My dad and I are very close. But you know, like Indian fathers and sons, especially gay sons, there's always a little bit of conflict. And he's very accepting of us. He's the sweetest person. Yeah. He's all about gay rights. He's about do makeup. It's your passion. I recently posted something. People loved it. People were really, really surprised that a Telugu guy would be so open-minded. He's always been that throughout his life. He's like, you go chase your dreams, right? But then there are other things where we would disagree on.
But of course.
I mean, if we're gonna get into detail, your relationship with your father is not toxic.
It's not.
No,
it's not right.
It's just so you have different opinions.
It's
different.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's not like a cut-off worthy type of situation. We're talking about people who are like bringing you down. Though having differences, we have a lot of people in our lives who we share different values or opinions about things. Those people are all fine. Yeah. It's the people that are, I don't know, like there's certain type of people I just can't have around me. Like people who constantly lie, people who constantly are looking for attention. Bring up stuff
from 7 years ago to build momentum in an argument.
Like people, what I've learned from him, my biggest lesson from him is is literally say what you feel in the moment.
You have to.
Because if you let anything build up, whether it's good or bad, like give the compliment and then give the critique.
Saying, you don't have to be rude about it, but in a polite way, put across what you're genuinely feeling. Because that's who you are, and your relationship with that person should be based on your genuine feelings.
So true.
Because it's so hard to keep up as you go
and
on.
He's like that with, you know, and my mom is like, I like to keep my mom on like guard from like the world, you know, I want everyone to, but he's like so direct with my mom. And initially I'm like, oh my God, this is like, how is she going to feel? But they've created this like openness and this relationship that I feel is even good for her because now she can also speak her mind.
Yeah,
and
we don't BS. We are like so direct with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
And there's nothing like lingering. Yeah, nothing. You know?
I agree. I think a lot of the time we believe we're protecting somebody by not telling them how we truly feel, but all that does is lead up to resentment.
Yeah.
You know, and when you bring something up, well, 7 years ago you did this, or 5 years ago you did this. I mean, the example I always give is you forget what's pissed you off with someone else. Yeah. So someone has annoyed you and it's like here, and then you're adding another thing and you're adding another thing and you're adding. You get to here and you flip and you've got all of these different things. You're not going to remember every layer. You're not going to remember every single thing that happened, and that person's going to feel blindsided. So I'm a little bit the same. Sometimes I'm a bit too direct because I'm a bit like, I don't like that.
That's good.
Some people don't like that.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
You know what? I believe that from an objective perspective, if you say to a woman, it's good to be direct. But when a woman is direct to you and you're not used to that, you're so taken aback by it. You know, I'm seeing so many people like, oh, I don't understand why women have a problem, women's rights, da, da, da. And I'm like, yeah, it's all good and well to say it. But when you have a strong woman in front of you,
it's a problem.
That's when you don't like it. Yeah. When she's not a threat to you, it's okay.
I completely agree.
And we support you.
I know, and I completely understand that. Yeah.
And that's why I think with the directness, I always struggle when I am direct because people often feel very shocked or very upset by it.
I think it's a turn on. I think it's
I think it's a great.
It is so hard.
So do I.
Anyone who can be like so confident and direct, I think it is so hard.
I feel the same.
My mother, I come from a house where my mother is super direct and super like, you know, she says anything that's on her mind and people have always just like that.
Yes.
People have, you know, because that's her power though.
Yeah.
And they don't like that power.
I think in South Asian families, it's a thing.
It's like, wow, she's speaking over the man. Or like, you know, and not to say she has power over him or anything like that. I'm just saying like,
but she has a voice and
she has a voice. And that's
speaks,
the thing.
Yes.
Yeah. I think the thing is we expect, we've got rid of this narrative. We all like a strong woman, for sure, from far. That's how I see it
when
now.
they're on TV.
When they're on TV or in a movie, you're like, yeah, good for you, good for you. But when it's in front of you, it's scary.
And I will say it's interesting, but I do think that gay men are... also feel the same thing, like also have the same like sort of stigma.
What do you mean?
If you find a gay man to be super strong, there's like some part of you that's like, that person doesn't deserve to have that like strength. And I felt like that too.
No way.
Yeah, because I feel people sometimes they view gay men as women.
That is true.
It's like
it's a very relevant.
And I'm not here to play victim. Like I don't think like I'm not claiming that like that always happens, and you know. But I think that for a lot of gay men, they aren't able to have such a powerful voice because they're like put into this category
it's either
of like
fashion or makeup or something.
No,
creative.
or if you're gay with a voice, you're dramatic.
Yeah, you're dramatic. Yeah,
you're being like, it's all drama. Yeah. It's like not drama. this is my opinion. Yeah. This is like life.
That is so true.
And if a straight man had the same opinion, wow, that's hot. It's hot. It's hot. Exactly.
And I think with women, it's eccentric. Like, oh my God, you're just so eccentric. Calm down, you know?
Yeah. You're a feminist and you hate men. That's what...
Honestly, I did a Q&A the other day and so I said to someone, why do you follow me? I put it on my page, why do you follow me? And someone said, I follow you for your relationship stuff, but I don't get it because you're against marriage, but you just got engaged. So you're contradictory. I was like, sorry. When did I say I'm against marriage? What I said is I'm anti-rush, I'm anti-marrying someone for the sake of it, and I'm anti-settling. Yeah. So why does that make me against marriage? And I think people put these assumptions in place and they put you in these boxes. And actually that point you just said around men being kind of put into this box of being, I guess, dramatic. You know, I actually did hear someone else talk about that as well in terms of, they said that it's always about like, oh, you're so feminine. And if you're not in your feminine energy, then people get confused by it. So he didn't use those words, but actually that kind of makes sense to this podcast I was listening to. And have you both found that? Do people often question you if you're in your masculine energy a bit more than feminine? Because we all have masculine and feminine energy with certain things. And I think that we sometimes like put people into boxes for that.
Not anymore, I would say. I've always been more feminine. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I've always tapped into the more feminine energy. Like I'm proud of it. I think growing up it was a bit hard because people expect, like, they make fun of you, like especially as a closeted gay boy in India. Now the things are a bit reverse of that. Now they're like, okay, to all the straight girls out there, I love you, right? I love you. I will help you with makeup. But when you no, I have to say this. When you sit across me and you go, I could never tell you were gay. You don't even look gay. It's not a compliment, sweetheart. I literally putting you in a box.
When do people say this stuff?
Very recently at a brand dinner, like a week ago.
You don't even look gay.
Yes.
You don't even look gay.
Yeah, I'm like, what? What does it mean you don't look gay? Because what? Like, I have a full beat on my face. I have lip gloss on. Like, if that
is it the beard that's throwing you off?
Is it my beard? Should I shave it off? Like,
but even if you're wearing makeup, it doesn't mean you're gay. So it's so confusing.
Yes. So I'm like, what is confusing? And I think it's a thing that they just assume gay men to be feminine. And if you're not openly feminine, they just think you're straight. And some of them are really surprised. They're like, oh, I could never tell, because I was talking to someone about having baby and all. I was talking about surrogacy and IVF. They were like, oh, why your wife couldn't conceive or something. Very private. I was like, oh, well, my husband couldn't. But yeah, that's why we got a surrogate. They're like, oh, I could never tell you were gay. I'm like, you know what, I get it. Like, I'm not gonna, the first time you say it, I'm not gonna be like, oh my God, like I'm offended.
Yes.
But when I know people who just keep on repeating that, and then I'm like, wait, what are you getting at? Like,
are you trying to tell me it's a compliment? Yeah.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, is it a compliment?
Like
that
when
we're
people
not
say
gay,
you look great
don't
without
look
makeup, I'm like, I know that, but I love makeup. I'm like, what?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
You've had a different experience with that, you said.
I think I have a different experience with just like having, like being, so I have my own company. I'm always in a room where I have to lead people.
Yes.
And I think people are uncomfortable with the fact that a gay man is leading them at times. I'm not talking about my company or employees or anything like that. I'm talking about just in general. I sense that in the room many times. Even though I'm in a creative field where there's tons of gay men and tons of queer people, like, you know, thriving in this artistic environment. But I just find that people don't want to put the power in the hands.
Especially if you're openly gay.
Gay people.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, like, we've come such a long way with so many things in life, and we live a very, like, open and great life, and we go to work happy with people who love us and support us and all of that. But then sometimes there's just, like, you're in a few rooms that you just get comments like that, or someone makes you, and you're like, wait a second.
Yes.
I'm living in a bubble, in my happy bubble, but then in the real world, like, there's all these things actually happening and people having these toxic conversations about, I don't know.
It's part of life, right? Everyone's learning every single moment, and you just have to give them benefit.
Sometimes I don't know if we live in a bubble or if like we live in reality. I really don't.
Well, look, I think what you've said like previously is you just don't have those people who aren't progressive in your life. You know, I also feel the same. I'm not friends with people who are living in the 1980s. So when I do get comments like that, that's what I said about the strong thing is like, I am surrounded by people who love empowered women. So when I come on my podcast, when I go to events, when I speak to people, I'm like, oh, wow, this is normal. And then you'll get this random person that comes in and you'll be like, huh, wait, what is happening? Yeah. Like, are we living in the 1980s? Am I going mad?
No, but that's true. There are pockets. Because of a profession, what we do, we are surrounded by people like that who at least have to pretend they get it.
Correct.
Even if they don't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For sure.
But there are those who actually don't get it. Yeah. You know, that's actually easy to educate them because they're open to learning rather than those who are faking it because they don't want to learn but they want to fit in, so they'll say the right thing. So
that is so true.
Yeah. So what do you do?
I want to talk about your daughter and surrogacy. So you just mentioned that when you bring it up in conversation, people just assume, you know, that you're perhaps not gay or they have other questions. What are some of the other questions that people kind of brought up when you've told them about going through that process? Because I can imagine it must have been so hard.
Well, you know,
start with the good stuff.
Okay,
yeah, let's start with the good stuff.
The positives. People have loved seeing her, you know, obviously on social media, but also in person when we go places. They're like, "Oh my God, that's her! I saw her online, and I know." And all they say that the nicest stuff, and she loves seeing people. She's always waving at people, and you know, I think that is like great. Like she's received so much love. As parents, I think I love, and people love seeing fathers with their daughters.
It's hard.
I think it's sexy, but it's also like it's the most adorable thing, and so people love seeing that, you know, so the love is there. But then, you know, on the flip side, it's like people are always asking, so who's watching her, who's raising her? Like I had someone ask me like, oh, so is your mom gonna cut her nails? I'm like, no, I'm gonna cut her nails. Or like, I don't even know, like the most random. I'm like,
they'd be like,
what do you think
must
happened?
Be feeding her store-bought food. I'm like, no, we can boil vegetables and make puree. They're like, you guys do it? I'm like, yeah. They're like, wow. I'm like how incapable do you think a man is?
The expectations on men, honestly, sorry. It is true though. I mean, from where I come from, if a man puts on the kettle, okay, to boil a flipping cup of tea.
That's your dad.
Okay. There is a standing ovation.
Shivani, pati bhagwan hota hai.
Exactly. That's so true.
Well, how many restaurants have we been into where we can't get a changing table in the men's bathroom?
Yeah.
Like simple things like that. So then we're like, wow, okay, so we do live in a bubble because these are public restaurants where everyone goes to. Yeah. Even in New York City, even in like anywhere. And you're like, what?
So true.
Like, so now there's so many times where we have to go in the women's bathroom.
I love that though.
We've been locking ourselves in the women's bathroom.
The women's bathroom. I'm like, you can enter if you want. We are in here changing a diaper. And I think
it happened recently where we had to, and it was like it had multiple stalls, so we couldn't like lock it. And the employee at the restaurant was like, just go into the women's bathroom, because I was like, we can't change her like on our lap, like in the bathroom. Like, where are we going to change her?
Yeah, of course.
I think very, very little is expected from at least South Asian men. Like very,
no, but
very
this
little.
is not a South Asian.
But I'm talking.
Yes.
We went to a normal restaurant, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just crazy to me that like a simple thing like a changing table.
Yeah.
They're made of plastic. They probably cost like $100 to put them in.
New York, like in New York,
whatever
like
it is,
10,000. Honestly,
whatever it is.
No, you're right.
So,
it's there's such simple things that people can do, but you must have thought about this, right, before making the decision to have a baby.
No, absolutely.
Or did you?
We did. I mean, we were always very aware that we would be judged in a certain way because there's a lack of a motherly figure.
Yeah.
People associate that, but I think we also knew that love is enough. If you see, it's not like we met at a pub and got pregnant accidentally, right?
Yes.
Like, we planned this for years. We saved up. It's not cheap. It's an expensive process. We saved up for years. We had 4 rounds of IVF with 4 different surrogates.
Wow.
And the 4th one worked. So it wasn't like a day we woke up and like there was a baby and we had no idea what to do. We were so prepared. Like, we had Excels of what is required. We had vetted them with our friends. We have gotten parentage orders that Yana would be our daughter in New Jersey.
It's a long process.
Yeah, we did all the work like for months and months. So we were so prepared. Like, the day she was born, we already knew what has to be done, how it will work, how many ounces of milk, the body weight calculation. Like, we even today, more than me, he knows way too much. Better than his mom, he could handle Yana. Like, I kind of like struggle a bit.
Information that's publicly available.
But like, he is so good. Like, people ask, right? Oh, so which one is going to be the primary caretaker? Everybody thought it'll be me because she's genetically mine. I barely do anything. He does the whole work. Like, she's so attached.
Explain the process to me. So why did you decide to have a baby?
Why?
Why?
We knew on our first conversation that we wanted to be fathers.
You knew, yeah.
Yeah. We knew because we both love kids. We've been surrounded by kids our whole lives. Cousins, me
too.
Sisters have... I have 6 nieces and nephews. And you've grown around your
cousins and babies. Like, always grown up around babies. Like, I've known how to change a diaper when I was in like 9th grade. It's like, it wasn't like it's just muscle memory. It just came back.
I think some people just are maternal and paternal. You know, like a lot of people just have it in them. They just like, I know I'm going to have kids.
Yeah.
But some of my friends are like, I know I'm definitely not.
We respect that. Great. It's good to know what you don't want.
I agree.
Because rather than just doing it for the sake of doing it.
I definitely don't think parenting is for everyone either.
It's not.
No.
So
some days it's very
sometimes we don't know if it's for us too.
We're like, oh my god.
So let's talk about the options that you both had. So what were the options? You were like, we want to get a kid, we want to have a kid. Did you think about adoption? Okay.
We did. And there was no right or wrong. We just wanted, as humans, as people who can make a choice, we just wanted a baby who was genetically one of ours. And that was pretty much it. I think adoption is a great thing. People should look into it. We probably will in future if we want to. Or we might have one more IVF baby, right? Yeah. We don't know that yet. But it just felt right for us because we went back and forth for a very long time. Like 6 months, we just discussed that.
Wow.
Like which way we are going, because we were talking to surrogacy clinics and places which were going to help us with that. And we were also researching about adoption. We just, there was no, it just felt,
I mean, I think naturally you want to have a genetically, you know, a child that's your own genetics. And if that didn't work, we would have gone the adoption route. There was no like no to this and yes to this. It was just more like, let's start this process, see how it goes. Obviously, it went on for a couple of years. And then we were lucky enough to have Yana. And now it's just like all that, it's like, it took us a long time. And it was very difficult.
4 is a lot. You had 4 surrogates.
4 rounds of
IVF.
Oh, 4 rounds of IVF. Okay,
well,
but it's still quite hard,
really,
no?
Yeah, it's 4. What do you call them?
Embryo transplants.
Embryo transfers, yeah.
Oh,
4
wow.
embryo transfers.
So it's like it's not like on the first try it'll work. I know couples who've tried it for 7-8 years and still don't have a kid.
Yeah,
it is heartbreaking. You have to mentally prepare yourself emotionally, financially. It's a lot.
I know. You think when you're paying for something you're going to get it.
No,
the financial implication is huge.
It's huge.
It's huge, and that's why when I was listening to another podcast, when someone was saying, you know, do people question your ability as a gay dad? You know, to this person. Yeah. And he was saying, well, do you know how long I had to save up to have a baby? Yeah. He was like, do you know how much time and effort and research I had to do? He was like, I wanted this baby more than anything in the world. Yep. And, you know, his argument was very similar. You know, a lot of people just get pregnant and then they're like, should I keep it? Should I not? okay, I'll just keep it, or fine, we'll just keep the baby for the sake of it, or we'll make it work.
It's the right thing to do.
They don't consciously want to be parents, whilst you both very much decided that you really wanted to be.
I always wanted to get married, and I always wanted to have kids.
Really?
Like that was just my dream.
Aww.
Like I know, like I always felt like that since I was a kid.
Same.
Yeah. So never imagined a guy, because Bollywood didn't show me guys getting married. So it always showed me a girl and a guy. But then very quickly I realized that's possible too.
Yeah.
How did you both deal with any difficult conversations people had with you about having a baby? Did people put in their 2 cents? I know you cut everyone out of your life that tries to give you an opinion.
That's true. People have probably given us advice, but I think people know who we are. Our friends, our family, like the people who are closest to us know that we wouldn't do something without thinking all the different, options, ways, whatever. We also have strong personalities, so like, who's gonna come in our way?
I don't know.
No one.
It's
honestly,
a good thing and a bad thing, because I think people think twice before like saying something.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, wait, you can actually say, I'm not gonna be angry at you. Like, we can have a conversation about it. Like, people are like, oh, it's Adi and Amit. Like, let's be a little careful. I'm like, I'm not gonna put you on social media.
I think the interesting thing is like afterwards. I think it was my dad probably has a most differing opinion. Like, I don't even say it's an opinion, but when he had us, my mom was home and my grandmother lived with us. So and my aunts are always at my house. So like we were raised by like I was raised
tribe,
by
like
a whole village of people.
Yes.
So my dad now is just like, oh wait, if we leave, like are you gonna be okay?
So he would ask me like
we're good.
Yeah, like he'd be like, Adi, we have to go. Like they live close by, right? They have to go home. Will you be okay with Yana? I'm like, Dad, I've done this for a year now. Like, I know what to do.
We're good.
Like I showed you what to do. Like, and he wouldn't do much, right? He would play with her. He's very hands-on. But he'll struggle with the diaper. He'll do it.
Yes.
But the feeding and all, he needs mom to step in. I'm like, but you don't even do like the whole thing. You're talking as if you're doing the whole thing. Mom is doing the whole thing.
It's interesting. Like in both of our dads were like that in the beginning when Yana was like first born. That first few months where she's obviously fragile because she's you have to hold her head a certain way. They're both just like terrified.
Let mom do it. I'm like, no. Mom is not going to do it.
We're good.
Yeah, we gave her the first bath.
So
we
funny.
fed her. We did everything. No night nurse, no nanny. I think we did. I personally did that out of spite, just to prove a point that I can do this as a guy. We can do this without help. Now, in hindsight, yes, get help. If people are listening to this, if you're having a baby, if you can afford it, please get help.
Yeah. No, it's a lot. It's a lot. Work.
It's a lot for anybody.
It's a lot, but it's those things it's those difficult moments that make you close to your child.
Yeah.
Because you're not like, people think like you fall in love with your child as soon as you see them. You don't.
Some people do, some don't.
Talk to me about that, because actually I really remember this is such a stupid example, but anyway, in the Kardashians, Khloe Kardashian was basically talking about her second child, and she was saying that she didn't have a connection with her second child as much as she did with the first, because I think he was...
She was going through a lot on the...
Yes, and also Kim said this about, one child that was through surrogacy and one child when she gave birth. Did Khloe... No, Khloe went through surrogacy with the second one, right?
Yes.
So she found it really difficult because she said the first one, there's a process. The baby's growing inside you. You're preparing for those 9 months. Like, what's going on. She said that, and I thought it was really honest. She was like, I just went to go pick him up and then I brought him home.
Yeah, literally.
And she said that is such a shock. Did you both find that too?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think obviously we have nothing to compare to.
Yeah, we can't really relate to
first.
Carrie.
Yes.
I would say that. So we've had puppies. Okay, so like we know what it feels like to bring home something.
Yes.
That you're not familiar with, and then begin that relationship from at home.
Yeah.
I know it's like different, like it's baby puppy, but it is sort of the same.
Connection.
It's a connection, and the attachment grows over time with each other. She's obviously not. She didn't come out of us. She's not connected to one of us either. In that way, we didn't breastfeed her. Like people, that was one thing that made me always feel uncomfortable. People are like, no, but like that breastfeeding builds connection. So I'm like, are you saying that we're not gonna have that connection?
Yeah. What about
we never did like
skin
to skins. We never did like all those things that people say are like
the connection checklist. Like
like
we
skin
didn't
to
do
skin,
that.
breastfeed this. Like we didn't do that. I mean, we held her and we loved her and we kissed her and just did all the other things. But
I think when you have a kid, right, when you have a baby, right, in the beginning, it's not natural to you to take care of someone who's so demanding. Babies are the most demanding things in the world, and they don't give you a paycheck. So in the beginning, you're trying to figure out how this process works. Should I hold the milk bottle up, down? Is she gonna choke? Is she gonna throw up? So there is no love happening at that point because I'm trying to keep this baby alive and fed, right? Now, like, milk time is twinkle, twinkle, little star. So it's fun. She's smiling at me because I've done this. I get the rhythm. So unless you find your rhythm, love comes with comfort when you're comfortable with someone. When that baby is so small and you're trying to figure out what to do, yes, there is love because it's your child. But are you going to be okay with every single tantrum the baby throws at you? No. You both are uncomfortable. You're trying to figure out your fine-tuning, the wavelength. So that's what it is. You just have to give it time.
It's interesting.
2 weeks
like,
was for me.
When I brought him home, I didn't love him right away either.
He did. He loved me
honestly,
the first night.
no, and this is something we've talked about before.
Talking about me?
Yes.
Wow. Like,
you're my baby.
Okay. I love that.
When we first, our initial phase of our relationship was a lot of learning. And we were I was 30 years old.
We broke up within 2 weeks.
Yeah, because the first, like, getting to know each other phase wasn't that, like, honeymoon, let's go on dates, let's go to, go out to eat and just make out. Like, it wasn't like that. It was, for us, it was like, we're two established type A personalities, and here we are with all of these opinions trying to, like, get to know each other and make this work. I think we're more in love with each other now than we were when we first started. And absolutely. I think that's kind of the story of our lives, with our puppies, with each other, with our daughter, with the people around us, I think that's what's normal. I think, when people talk about, like, arranged marriages, like, that's another, I know it's a different topic.
That, though.
In a sense, that's what it is. But when you grow to love someone, instead of loving them and then living, it kind of fizzles out. You start here and you're kind of, when you start here, like,
there's nowhere to go except up.
Yeah, and it's crazy.
We fought a lot in the beginning.
Yeah.
It was crazy how much we fought.
I think the perspective you've just given around the baby is actually a very honest one, which I don't hear a lot of people saying.
Because it's not the right thing to say.
Don't you feel like that's why a lot of people get depressed
and
in
struggle,
the initial, because they think, like,
expectations.
Oh my God, like, I can compare it to, like, your birthday. When it's your birthday and you expect everything to be perfect.
Yes, and it's not.
And you're like, so that's what it is. When you have a child, you're like, everything's gonna be great. I have this child, and you're like, holy shit, this is not.
I think most. I'm not gonna speak much about it because I don't know too much about it. But most of the females who go through the post-pregnancy depression, if all this they could hear from their family members telling her it's okay, I think it's going to help them a bit. I think there's so much pressure to be by the book.
For sure.
When you were born, I was all about you, is what a female hears from her mother.
Yes.
And then it's on them to feel the same thing about the baby. And it's such a struggle sometimes because it's not the same times.
No.
Like, so much has changed, right? And as a person, you're different. So, yeah.
Did any of you get any pushback around, not having a female in your daughter's life? So, I guess, did you get any pushback around, like,
we do on social media?
Okay.
Yeah, a lot.
Oh, what is she going to do without a mother?
Correct.
What is
she's going to get bullied at school?
Every baby needs a mother. And it's so funny. We're closest to our mothers. We love our mothers more than anyone else on the planet. So we very much understand that she doesn't have a mother, a traditional mother.
Every baby needs love.
But we can also be the motherly figure in her life. And she's also surrounded by her toys and her, nani, dadi, everyone is there to provide her, like, that, feminine energy, if that's what she requires, like, in that capacity. But people.
What about the single dads who are raising kids on their own because of some unfortunate circumstance, right? I think this is done to define gender roles.
Yes.
To keep people in their boxes, in their places, to have the male, female, and just cut to it. Like, man goes out, makes money, woman raises kids, end of story.
Yes.
That is not the case.
But, can I tell you something about this? I have a very strong opinion about, like, this. I think it's not even society. I think the solution is to give men permission to love more and be more in touch with their feminine side. Like, for example, my dad is a very loving man. And if he felt like he could just, and he's always, like, hugged us and kissed us. Like, I've always hugged and kissed my dad. Always. Yeah. Growing up, now I can still do it. And I think if more men had permission to do that with their children and do that with people around them, like, if they felt more open to doing that, people wouldn't necessarily feel like women have all the power to nurture. And men would also be nurturers.
Yes.
They are nurturers.
Yeah. They are.
We all want to love and hug and cuddle and kiss and do all those things.
So true. I think, with men, so many of us believe like, oh, like I've had this narrative. Well, men just aren't that paternal. And I'm like, sorry, I have not grown up with men like that. Like all the men in my family are very emotional. They're very strong. They're all very alpha, but they are never afraid to show their feelings. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And my brother, he's obsessed with my nieces and nephews. And so I've grown up thinking that's normal. So then when I meet other people that are like, well, no, I don't really care about kids, or like, no, men aren't like women. They don't think about kids. I'm like, I haven't grown up with that. We're all fighting every time we see my nieces and nephews about who's going to play with them first. And I think that we do like to put these narratives because it makes us comfortable. Mm-hmm. Like I was listening in one of your YouTube videos when you said, people always ask us, who's the man and woman in the relationship?
Yeah, always.
When I was thinking about that, why is it we need to ask that question? And it's because we view a relationship as one person's a man and one person's a woman. So that when there's two women that are together or two men that are together, we're so uncomfortable with this idea that there is no man and woman. We're like, one of them must be more masculine. One of them must be more feminine. And we almost put those narratives in place to make us feel more comfortable to observe. But I think it's so interesting that you two are both breaking that in like all areas of that you're doing.
I think it just comes natural to us. It's not like, again, a moment that we want to do. It's just who we are. Like, I think it's easy for people to read the energy and classify it as man and woman because it fits what we are taught, what we have seen. Yeah. But that's not the case anymore. Yeah. Like, you can be whatever you want. Like, and what happens inside closed doors is none of anyone's business. So true.
Someone recently, I posted something for his birthday and someone told me, they're like, I really love what you posted about him. It was so normal. And I was like, well, what did you expect? Like, they're like, oh, it just looks like you guys are living a normal life. I'm like,
we are living a normal life.
We woke up,
and we're not here. I'm not here coffee, I'm not like making a statement. Like, I'm not trying to like make a statement by saying we're normal. Like,
I love that.
We're freaking normal. So like, what are you talking? I mean,
not everything you have to do has to be something. This is revolutionary.
Like, I wish I was that smart to be making statements.
That'd be really cool.
No.
Yeah.
From both of your perspectives, what's the best piece of advice that you've got? And maybe you can tell me your worst piece of advice.
That I've received?
Yes.
Best or worst? Oh, wow.
One of you can choose best, one of you can choose worst.
Oh my God.
Worst, please. I'll take the worst one, please.
You take the worst. Good, because I had a hard time with that.
Okay, good. So I think someone, like, when I was starting out the makeup career, right? Like, which was not like more career, like posting about it and talking about it. I was managed by agencies and it was becoming a more thing. A lot of people were like, oh, if you want to really do this as a passion, just stick to the skincare category. Because as a man, I don't think you'll do much in makeup. I think people will not be okay with that. Right. And I said, no, like, that's what I am. I'll do this, but I want to definitely do that because I feel like I'm more empowered to do that. And like now, I guess, like, thank God I didn't take that advice because I thrive on it and people love it too. And I'm more happier when people come to me saying that, oh, your contour video really helped me with that, rather than like, oh, I love that you guys are living your true life, which I love too.
Yes.
But that's because this is real life. Yes. Like, I don't need to be complimented for that. That's my normal. That is normal. Right? Let's not glorify it more than it needs to be. That just should be the normal thing. But what should be glorified is that you don't look like you're burnt. You have a jawline. Let's talk about that. Like, that's what is important. Yeah. You look great, by the way. What blush is that?
This is the Bobbi Brown.
Okay, it looks beautiful.
Thank you. Well, I did your blush placement here. Concealer here. I watched your videos. And what's the best piece of advice you've ever got?
Probably it was business related, but I think it relates to like life. My uncle told me, he asked me a question. He's like, what's the most important thing in business? And what would you think it is? I was like, I don't know, finances, my passion, happiness? I was like, passion. Yeah. No, and he's like, relationships. And I really think about this all the time because it's all the relationships I've created over time since I was younger. It's my high school friends, my college friends, the people in my life. And we were talking about like removing toxic people because it's making space for the people that the good relationships you really want to
make sense now.
You want to spend time on. In my business, we're like a family in how I work, how I conduct my company and the people around me, as how I lead a room. it's through building relationships. I think that's the most important thing in life. And I think love is part of that. And like our relationship is the most important thing in my life because it is the ultimate relationship I have. And without that, like, what is life?
Yeah, when they ask me, do you like your daughter more or your husband? I'm like, all this wouldn't be happening if I wasn't with him.
What?
Yeah, they ask that question. Who would you say first?
People like always ask, like, would you choose your husband or your daughter? I'm like,
what about the dogs? You forgot the dogs.
I don't know.
Like,
we have.
Yeah, it's like.
But anyway, I think that was the best piece of advice, and I think it relates to anyone and everything in all aspects of life, not just business.
I love that. So powerful. Well, look, thank you both so much.
Thank you.
It's gone by so quickly. I'm like looking at the time, like it's been an hour, but I've really appreciated both of you coming to speak to me and being my first guest in New York. So thank you for inspiring me. Thank you for lifting me up, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.